order, which actually speaks to the heart of your question earlier about the Uber drivers, will be a order directing the Department of Transportation to include English literacy tests for our truckers. This is a big problem in the trucking community that, unless you're in that community, you might not know. But there's a lot of communication problems between truckers on the road, with federal officials and local officials as well, which obviously is a public safety risk. So we're going to ensure that our truckers, who are the backbone of our economy, are all able to speak English. That's a very common sense policy in the United States of America. So the president will be signing that later.
What up, what up? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Mo.J. This is the Mo You Know. You heard it. They're trying to implement English proficiency to truck drivers per the Department of Transportation. Now, do I agree with this? Definitely. Am I against it? No, but we'll show some things that might back stuff up. Now, if you aren't a truck driver and you're listening to this, a lot of our materials, a lot of the things we need do come in from the ports via truck to whatever city you're in. So let's jump into this article. It says Trump signs executive order enforcing truck drivers must be proficient in English. Again, I'm Mo.J. This is the Mo You Know. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Try to get to 1,000 subscribers. But let's go ahead and see what exactly is going on and how this can help and hurt America at the same time. President Donald Trump has signed executive orders related to immigration, including one that requires English language proficiency for commercial motor drivers such as truckers. That requirement already exists, but Trump said it has not been enforced in years, making roads less safe. Now, I agree. If you're going to be driving, you should probably speak English. If you don't speak English, but you have a good driving record, I think that's okay. Now, one reason I do agree with this is because there is a lot of communication that goes on through the radios, being able to communicate with other truck drivers. The executive order already enforces existing federal laws requiring the proficiency as a requirement for commercial motor drivers. In the order issued Monday evening, Trump contends the requirement has not been enforced in years and American roadways have become less safe. Now, if we're being honest, this is Trump being Trump disingenuous because a majority of the incidents that do occur over the road aren't from minorities such as blacks, such as Hispanics, such as Asians. It's actually because of white drivers between the ages of 35 and 65 over the road. And since they are the majority, they cause a majority of the incidents. But no one's going to get into those type of details. So trying to say that the roads are less safe because of non-English speaking, that's actually not a fact. My administration will enforce the law to protect the safety of American drivers, truckers, passengers, and others, including by upholding the safety enforcement regulations that ensure that anyone behind the wheel of a commercial vehicle is properly qualified and proficient in our national language, English, the order states. Now, English is our national language, but across the world, we don't have as many truck drivers getting into incidents and they don't speak English. So it's not just because you're not speaking English or you are speaking English. It's how you drive those vehicles. As I said, I see the good and the bad with this. Obviously, we want them to be able to speak English because that's what we're all speaking here in America, and it does help with communication. But now I want to look at the negative side of what this is going to do on a grander scale. Now, this is on the NPR. It says a year later, Florida businesses say that the state's immigration law dealt a huge blow. Now, if you don't know, last year or in 2023, Ron DeSantis passed a bill down in Florida where illegal immigrants were not allowed to drive trucks. Now, obviously, I'm with that. If you don't have a driver's license that's valid, you shouldn't be on the road. But when we go to an economic standpoint, we're going to see how this actually affects all of America because Florida was our sample size. And if Florida took a major blow like this, then imagine what it would be on a grand scale. About a year ago, Florida governor and then presidential candidate Ron DeSantis passed one of the toughest crackdowns on immigration in the country. The SB 1718 punishes employers who use undocumented laborers and forbids undocumented people from having a driver's license. Now, remember, I was talking about if you don't have a driver's license, well, some illegals, they did have a driver's license, but I know you're probably thinking, how did they get that? Well, driver's licenses are issued through the state, so you'd have to look at the state of Florida for allowing illegal immigrants from having driver's license. So they want to try to put it on the Democrats and the liberals, but it's really a Republican state, and they were allowing illegals and undocumented to have driver's license. But Ron DeSantis cracked down on that. And let's look at what actually happened once you removed these undocumented drivers from the roads that were actually hauling, and we had undocumented collecting and gathering the fruit. Many local Florida businesses say that the new law has led to workers leaving the state, hurting their bottom line, and a lot of people are scared, says Sanchez. A lot of people went north and never came back, and that's whether it's people out in the fields getting the fruits from the trees, from doing any of the vegetables, to the undocumented and illegals that were actually driving the trucks to and from the fields to the stores to provide produce for everyone. Forbes.com reports that Florida loses $12 billion plus in a year, one of its anti-immigration laws. Now, what we just heard was what Ron DeSantis passed, the SB 1718, over a year ago. And within that 1 year, the state of Florida lost over $12 billion. Now, again, this is one of the states out of 49, and this is $12 billion. Now, the numbers will fluctuate depending on the state, but $12 billion in 1 year just because of these laws, well, let me tell you, a grander scale would be easily over $100 billion a year. There are about 130,000 undocumented immigrants married to Florida U.S. citizens and up to 200,000 seasonal and migrant undocumented workers. The problem is that the first year costs all of this enforcement primarily aimed at these 330,000 individuals in Florida will exceed $12 billion, according to the Florida Policy Institute. So these 330,000 individuals, they're doing a lot of work down in the state of Florida. And if 330,000 undocumented or illegals causes $12 billion in losses, imagine what the scale of 2 million per year that they want to remove. And then also we got to look at the trucks throughout the United States. They're going to crack down on that, but we need these drivers to help us. America is built on immigrants. All right, let me know what you think about this situation. Again, I do see the benefit of it because we do speak English, but at the same time, there needs to be something put in place so we can further push them forward and help our economy, because the big thing that Trump is allegedly running off of is protecting America. We've seen, and I've done articles on him talking about bringing back undocumented and illegals because he's starting to realize that America needs that. But let me know what you think about this situation. If you are a truck driver, how do you feel about it? Do you think the roads would be safer with more English speaking drivers? Or it's not really that big of a deal to you? Me personally, I need my goods. I need them to get to me. I don't care how they get there. But hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.